Greetings and welcome, open-minded viewers, to part 2 of our 4-part series, Climate Solution, a revealing documentary by United in Heart. Co-founded in 2018 by Mr. Arvind Paranjpe and his wife, Mrs. Nandini Paranjpe, United in Heart's mission is to use the many scientific studies by revered climate scientists to quickly spread global awareness about the urgency of climate change as well as the fastest, most efficient solutions. In February 2021, the United in Heart organization released a hard-hitting documentary entitled United in Heart, Hunger and Climate Solutions. In part 1 of this series, we presented the first segment of the film, which discussed the vital importance of tree planting and reforestation in halting climate change. On today's program, we continue with the second segment of United in Heart, Hunger and Climate Solutions.
If we want to solve climate change, we need to understand tree planting is only half the story. So let me share with you a couple video clips taken from scientific presentations. These clips explain how diet and rainwater conservation activate Earth's regenerative life forces.
In 1992, after the Rio summit, there were 3 conventions formed at the UN. There were 3 major problems identified. The first was biodiversity loss, the second was ecosystems collapse, and the third was climate change. So they formed 3 conventions: the Convention on Biological Diversity, the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. How often do we ever hear about the first 2? But we keep track of the fever, the climate change. I'm a systems engineer, so I look at it from a systems perspective. So I was looking at the 3 major problems, and so where is the best place to go study these 3 major problems in one spot? So I went to this village in Rajasthan, India, which is on the edge of the Thar Desert. If you look, this is the satellite map of the world, and if you look, this desert starts at the western edge of Africa, goes all the way into India, and becomes the Thar Desert there. It goes all the way into China and becomes the Gobi Desert there. It is one contiguous desert. And if you know your history, right, you know that this is where the major civilizations of the world were. That's where Egyptian civilization, Babylonian civilization, Persian civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Chinese civilization, they were all in this region, and the desert happened. You see, the reason there is a lot of deforestation and desertification happening in this region is because the vegetation is eaten by livestock or farmed animals, and then we milk the farmed animals and sell the milk to the people in the city. So the biomass from the forest is now disappearing into the city, including the nutrients from the forest. Or we raise goats, and then we sell the goats to people in the city to eat. So the biomass from the forest is now, including the nutrients, is disappearing into the city. So over time, we are depleting the forest. When goats finish eating, they leave nothing behind because they even eat the roots. So it becomes a desert. So it was clear that anything new is eaten by animals, our domestic animals, and anything old that is in the forest is being cut down and burnt for firewood. So the forest was being attacked from below and from above, and it was dying.
Forests play a critical role in halting climate change. Living trees, the ground cover, and even the soil in a forest draw massive amounts of CO2 out of Earth's atmosphere. The term carbon stock means the amount of CO2 that has been sequestered from the atmosphere and is now being stored within the living biomass of the forest ecosystem.
Because if you look at the global land carbon stock, the land carbon stock is high where the forests are, and it's low where the deserts are. And on land, there is 3 times as much carbon as in the atmosphere. So there is tremendous potential to sequester the carbon on land from the atmosphere. So you can see how the dense land carbon stock corresponds to the forests. This is the Amazon, this is the Congo, the 2 major tropical forests still left. But they're being eaten right now, as we speak, by our farmed animals. You can see the cows surrounding the Amazon, they're eating into it. You can see them surrounding the Congo. So as we expand our consumption of animal foods, more and more of these forests are being destroyed. And take a look at India. That's lacto-vegetarianism, because India has about 600 million lacto-vegetarians.
To Sailesh's point, a 2019 publication in Science indicates that if we add 1 trillion trees to the Earth, we'll cut the atmospheric carbon pool by 25%. But deforestation is outpacing reforestation. Sadly, we're clearing 1 acre per second of Amazon rainforest to make room for our animal agriculture.
%80 of all rainforest loss in the Amazon is due to raising cattle, with another 10% lost due to growing crops to feed them and other livestock. And remember, these livestock are grazing. It's not a matter of factory farming. We've already lost numerous ancient tribes, over 90 of them, shaman, undiscovered medicinal plants, and millions of living things. We'll never see them again. It's quite easy to quantify our global depletion of land with far too much of it being used for the wrong purpose. I mean, you can see this just about everywhere. This is how much land is being used to raise livestock. 45% of the entire land mass on Earth. It's simply terribly inefficient. You can produce 15 times more protein from plants as you can from meat on any given area of land. You can produce anywhere from 5,000 to 45,000 pounds of plant foods on 1 acre of land versus 480 pounds. At best, at stretching at best, of meat or animal products on 1 acre. It's shocking, knowing just how much land on Earth is used for raising animals, how terribly inefficient this really is. There are nearly 1 billion people suffering from hunger. This year alone, 6 million children will die from starvation. Well, 82% of the world's starving children live in countries where food is fed to animals that are then killed and eaten by more well-off individuals in developed countries. 1/4 of all grain produced by third world countries is now given to livestock in their country or out. In 2012, there was considered a record harvest of grain in the world, 2.6 billion tons. But half of that was fed to animals in the meat and dairy industries. 77% of all coarse grains produced in the world now go to livestock. We can't blame climate change then, droughts or flooding, for the world's food security issues. Most of our food's going to the wrong place.
Let's face it, we are ignoring our children's basic needs. The World Health Organization reported that 6 million children starved to death in 2009 alone. I know it's uncomfortable, but we need to ask ourselves how we can help. I believe the braver our food and communication goals, the more of a difference we can make, not only for the impoverished Black, brown, and tan children of the Global South and the East, but for all children by helping us prevent the worst effects of climate change.
Now, isn't this a beautiful countryside scene? Beautiful blue skies and green grass and rolling hills. This happens to be in the northeast section of Victoria, Australia, where I was researching the ecological effects of their food choices. And I also see something else, which is the main reason I visited this specific area to research. I mean, lock in this area, or this view, for just a moment as we advance. We're going to leave this area. We're going to just get out of the car and go down the road a few hundred yards and get off our bikes. And this is what we see. This 1,000-year-old forest is what that cattle ranch used to be. And it was the home to numerous insects, plants, and animals. There are 3 different types of eucalyptus trees growing here, and one animal in particular that I was looking for, which is now endangered due to destroying its home. It's this little guy. All of his family members were killed. Thousands are each year. He now lives in a small, remote rescue area.
The koala is an example of how lack of awareness leads to destruction turmoil, and death. But don't lose hope. We can educate ourselves, and we can restore the life-protective forces of Mother Earth.
Thank you, United in Heart, for sharing such important information at the most critical time in our planet's existence. We wish that more world leaders and citizens will heed this urgent call to heal our already burdened atmosphere and eradicate the climate crisis by choosing the only certain and viable solution, the vegan lifestyle. For more information on United in Heart, please visit unitedinheart.org. Beautiful viewers, thank you for your company today.